Jim Jones's eyes fell. His voice cracked and his hands shook as he stormed out of the studio and directly into the lawyer's office. And now a divorce is filed without notice, simply because what started as a reality TV love story just turned into a DNA disaster. We're talking about a paternity test so explosive not only did it destroy hearts, but it also broke contracts, blew up group chats, and had Mama Jones tossing furniture backstage. And Chrissy Lampkin, well, she didn't deny it in leaked court. Tape. 6 words that had the entire internet saying, "What?" I had to say, "Pardon me. Sis, you lied about a whole pregnancy, you falsified timelines, you marketed wedding specials, and you established a business on ride or die, all while hiding. A fact that might burn Dipset to the ground. Now, this ain't a love and hip-hop culture anymore. This is a scandal created by the devil himself, and what Jim's crew discovered next, you won't believe. Let's go down what she signed since this issue is just getting started. It was meant to be just another day in court, a regular hearing over some old contract concerns with VH1. Nothing major, just paperwork and stillness until Jim Jones strolled in with a sealed envelope, no entourage, no TV team, just him, his lawyer, and an expression that screamed, "I'm done." Chrissy Lampkin was already at the table, scrolling through her phone as though it were just another Thursday. But when she looked up and saw the envelope in his palm, her expression was, now that envelope, which contained the results of a DNA test that would literally set the courtroom on fire. After hitting over a display screen and yelling, "I told y'all she was lying," she had to be taken out. According to court sources, the package contained a private paternity test. Jim Jones, a quiet, cunning savage, had disappeared from the public eye. The test wasn't only for the child. Chrissy Lampkin said it was their little secret and was also connected to the second child is alive and breathing on record, and Jim. Jones has not been the father of either for years, despite Chrissy Lampkin allegedly telling him that the second child had died in the womb. According to the same fairy tale, Chrissy Lampkin was faking DNA documents, allegedly bribing a clinic employee, and maintaining a 2-family deception behind closed doors as she and Jim Jones worked through issues and took their time building. A future off-camera. The internet went viral shortly after Chrissy Lampkin's deception about receiving a complimentary gym membership was revealed. When a voicemail from Chrissy Lampkin to her former publicist surfaced on a gossip blog, she added, "And this is word for word. If the second test comes back negative, girl, you're preventing a man from learning the truth about a baby so you may extract one more check out of a reunion special." That's not emotional manipulation. That's brand-level sabotage. Mama Jones was correct, and then the real bomb dropped. However, it doesn't stop there. According to sources inside Jim's legal team, they have found irregularities in the translation of historical records. According to reports, Chrissy Lampkin falsified birth certificates and used old ultrasound footage to persuade Jim Jones that everything was real. Jim's close friend said he had always wondered why she wouldn't let him go to meetings. But Chrissy Lampkin was convincing when he said things like, "I want one thing that's just for me," or "You stress me out too much." Additionally, Jim Jones trusted her. Let's face it, he's not the easiest man to love, but he never faked affection. Thus, voicemail leaks and burner phone records were used to learn this. He was so distraught that when the judge asked, "Mr. Jones, do you wish to proceed with filing for legal separation based on this new evidence?" Reporters in the courtroom said he was unable to even look at Chrissy Lampkin. He just Chrissy Lampkin. Just crossed her knees, folded her arms, and whispered a single line that will haunt Jim Jones forever. It had nothing to do with the baby. Rather, it was about survival. What does it even mean? And what a fake romance. Chrissy Lampkin didn't blink, weep, or even move in her posture. A reality program that uses fictitious test results to verify a dream existence. This was reportedly not the first time that Chrissy had pulled a practical joke like this. In 2011, she had a pregnancy scare that was actually part of a larger negotiation with an unnamed VH1 employee who claimed that she knew exactly when to drop the pregnancy card when the numbers fell, and Mona needed something to anchor the finale. You can't make this up? Or maybe you can, since Chrissy Lampkin apparently did this for years. According to sources, what really destroyed Jim Jones wasn't even the DNA lie, the humiliation, the feeling of being used as a prop in someone else's, creation of a legacy that was prearranged against him. The court documents are now mostly accessible to the public because of an image that was released. Just when you thought this circus couldn't get any uglier, a new character entered the scene. Yes, the former Cam's lawyer gave the judge a sealed folder containing additional footage right before the court recessed, proving that his brother, who everyone assumed was no longer involved, had never left. What does this mean in terms of the paternity timeline to start? Jim Jones has requested the swift separation of all shared commercial partnerships, the complete severance of reality show-related contracts, and emotional damages for purposeful deception and reputational destruction. According to court sources, the movie, which depicts Chrissy and Cameron together in Miami, was shot in 2018. She told Jim Jones that same weekend that she was in Sedona on a healing retreat. And sure enough, a hotel room and 2 toothbrushes were involved. Jim Jones disagreed, and that's exactly where part 2 begins. As the court watches the Cameron footage, a new witness appears, and Chrissy's case collapses in real time since the DNA test was only the first step. The rest is where things become lethal. As the projector came to life and everyone leaned in, including the judge sitting at his bench, the courtroom lights dimmed a little. A fuzzy timestamp flashed on the screen. 14th August 2018 at a set 10:42 p.m. In a hotel corridor in Miami, Chrissy Lampkin was walking with her head down, phone in hand, and the camera near her ear. She knocked twice on a door, and when it opened, Cameron was there, shirtless, smiling, and gasping. The entire courtroom suddenly changed because this wasn't just a coincidence. Rather, it was evidence that slammed doors shut and destroyed relationships. The film switched to a different point of view, showing footage of Lampkin entering the room, taking off her sweatshirt to reveal a tank top and sweatpants, leaning in and muttering something. The screen went dark. There was no sound, no violent footage, but the damage had been done. Jim Jones remained motionless, staring straight ahead. When the judge asked if he wanted a recess, he waved it off. Chrissy Lampkin, who was unflinching and stone-faced, did not flinch. Her lawyer quickly stepped up and objected to the film, stating that it was circumstantial and did not establish anything other than personal interaction. The judge became upset when your client told the court that she was in Sedona on this particular day. All it took was a contradiction and a lie on the record, and just as the court was recovering from Cameron, the lawyer came up with the assurance that screams were not done. He presented them with an additional USB, which contained a voice memo purportedly taken from Chrissy's previous backup account and authorized by the court. It played Chrissy's voice calmly, icily, and purposefully. As long as Jim feels that the child is his, I have power, and I won't give it up until I know where I stand with Cameron. One of the women in the back row covered her mouth. When she returned to the room with security holding her chair, she started crying once more, but this time it was softly and brokenly, and Jim Jones simply closed his eyes. No one moved, not even the court. The judge finally cleared his throat and said, "Proceed." Oh, did they also dump another set of documents? Keep a second test off the books. Chrissy Lampkin paid a private OBGYN in New Jersey $7,000 via wire transfer 2 weeks before the alleged miscarriage description and translation of the secret results. Jim's lawyer immediately jumped up, "Your Honor, at this time, we would like to request a formal motion to investigate identity concealment and prenatal fraud in connection with the paternity claims. We also plan to present these findings to the district attorney's office." Chrissy Lampkin didn't blink, but for the first time, she appeared to lose some of her facial color. Human beings in a vulnerable position. The judge nodded, indicated that the evidence was accepted, and then revealed the unexpected turn of events. The court called a surprise witness, Witness C, a former assistant to Chrissy Lampkin, who entered the stand with a trembling voice and clutched her pocketbook as if it held her soul. From 2017 to 2020, I managed Chrissy's vacation and social schedules, and she suspended personal messaging. The judge asked, "Did you observe any activity related to paternity fraud or public deception?" Witness C glanced at Jim Jones before turning to face Chrissy Lampkin. She acknowledged that she had forced me to remove messages, but before Jim got home, she had forced me to stage pictures of her with baby paraphernalia to send to Mona Scott. She was no longer pregnant. The crowd erupted in applause once again. Even Chrissy's lawyer appeared shocked when the judge asked why she wanted those pictures sent. She replied that she needed photos that were ready for promotion for the upcoming season. The assistant replied that she wanted to ensure that the plotline had empathy before the reunion. Jim Jones looked at her with anguish rather than anger, as if someone had just shown him a tomb. The court approved the following. Was there any discussion about Cameron? The assistant nodded, and she used to text him from a burner, which I had to retrieve for her when she said things like, "Jim Jones is becoming suspicious," or "Do not respond until after midnight." She appeared to be leading two lives. The courtroom was quiet once more, but not online, where bloggers were active, phones were up, and hashtags were trending right away. The phone of Chrissy Lampkin burner verified shareable life. Chark, as if that weren't enough, the court played one final audio clip of the day, which was provided by a Love and Hip Hop production staffer who claimed to have recorded it at a backstage. Seen in 2022. It was Chrissy Lampkin off camera in mid-conk. Jim deserved better, while Chrissy Lampkin just sat there with no response or tears, her eyes nailed down on the floor. You don't have to be aware of everything. A little mystery keeps men in check. When he learns too much, he leaves, and that's how they all are. Halfway through, the judge stopped the recording and looked over his glasses. He said nothing, just nodded his head, and the court was recessed for the day. Jim slowly stood up and walked away. As reporters gathered outside, one of Jim's former business partners took to the microphone and said, "There's more coming." Emails, money traces, and a voicemail from a Love and Hip Hop producer show that the pregnant narrative was suggested months before filming. Mom Jones and Chrissy Lampkin followed, remaining there alone as if someone realized the game had finally caught up, but the chaos had one more surprise to offer. What does Chrissy Kinkin's deception of Jim Jones in America mean? Now, every brand deal interview and manufactured ring-on-the-finger moment is being re-examined under a microscope of anger, and BH1 insiders are reportedly leaking production. Notes, stylists are coming out, and even Mona Scott is allegedly under pressure to provide unedited video that might prove the true story behind the entire pregnancy arc. We haven't even reached Chapter 3, where stolen emails make their way to the news, court orders for Chrissy's financial accounts, and a final betrayal destroy any chance for reconciliation, because Jim Jones not only lost trust, he lost years. The following morning, Chrissy Lampkin appeared in court by herself without the gloss squad. No entertainer talking strategy, no producer in her ear. She marched straight past security to her seat and waited because she already knew what was going to happen at precisely 9:03 a.m. But she kept her head down and wore just her large shades and a stillness that seemed heavier than anything she had worn before the media shouted her name. A printed thread of internal emails between Chrissy Lampkin and a now-dismissed VH1 executive that contained subjects lines controlling Jim's narrative, inside directions, narrative points, and timing cues was presented by Jim's legal team as a new exhibit. The comment at the bottom of one of the emails that caused the judge to raise an eyebrow was Chrissy Lampkin's. Let's lock in the pregnancy scare for episode 3 that affords me time before I have to explain why the Miami trip is over. The judge's question, "Manon, can you corroborate this? How are you communicating?" left even her own attorney speechless. After pausing, Chrissy Lynn answered, "Yes, Your Honor, I sent that." Everyone noticed the shift, and the transfer was complete, so the courtroom didn't need to swallow it. Chrissy was no longer just a reality star, she was the antagonist in her own show. Jim Jones, on the other hand, had remained silent and had sat quietly, sometimes drinking water, as though the sadness had been forgotten and this was just business. But then the moment that broke even him came. One more piece of evidence was wheeled in by a court technician who also confirmed a time-stamped iCloud voice letter from Chrissy Lampkin from a year ago. In the video, she can be heard speaking to someone on speaker. If Jim Jones ever learns about Cameron, it's over. He won't survive it. For this reason, I said the baby was his. I needed to believe in something, and I wanted him to stay. We are offering this as conclusive evidence of deliberate emotional manipulation and business fraud. Up until the spinoff got greenlit, the room was silent except for Jim's lawyer standing and steadily pushing back his chair as he approached the bench. "Your Honor," the judge nodded and looked directly at Chrissy. "Do you deny the authenticity of this audio?" she whispered. And that's when things started to go wrong. Jim's team formally requested that all joint accounts and assets be frozen while they conducted additional investigation, which the judge approved. Next, the court clerk informed her that federal auditors were starting to look into Chrissy's company, files, charitable contributions, and online transactions connected to her brand. When the lawyer handed her a subpoena packet thick enough to shatter a windshield, Chrissy didn't argue, dodge, or cry. Instead, she looked exhausted, as if she had finally realized that the plot she had written was now writing her back with. court orders, proof files, and invoices she couldn't delete. But it didn't stop there. While Chrissy's entire public image was crumbling inside the courtroom, the internet was outside, tearing apart her brand like a pack of wolves with Instagram. Sites that had previously supported her flipping captions team. Chrissy Lampkin transformed into Chrissy, who tricked us all. TikTok was inundated with side-by-side comparisons of footage in which Chrissy Lampkin pretended to be upset about the pregnancy, but the actual chronology told a different story. The most peculiar part was an internal VH1 conversation that was leaked, in which executives were seen joking over pregnancy arcs. One particularly striking line was when she said, "Had a baby and gave us ratings. That's the exchange." In addition to treachery, this was a production-wide performance intended to support falsehoods and funded with emotional resources that Jim Jones had never consented to use. He was asked, "Do you have anything to add before we wrap up today's hearing?" by the judge. "I just want peace. I don't want revenge. I want my time back. Want my story told the right way," he said, standing up and moving to the center of the room after taking a big breath. Then he left without looking back. Without any drama, just a man running from the wreckage of a life that never existed. However, Chrissy Lampkin wasn't done yet. As soon as the court proceedings were over, her publicist, the same one whose voicemails had surfaced, released a statement on her behalf acknowledging that she had experienced emotional harm while attempting to avoid television and placing a strong emphasis on rebuilding in private.